Hi, and welcome to the Canceled News. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy out there. I've been wearing my mask, I've been washing my hands, I've been taking my temperature every day to make sure I'm not running a fever. Oh, hold on. Yep, healthy as an ox. Don't worry, I wash that thing very thoroughly once a week.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
Alright, let's see what's in the news. Leonardo DiCaprio and his girlfriend were spotted walking on Sunset Boulevard with their new dog. She's a rescue that he got to replace his last one. And the dog is a husky. One of the biggest stories this week, thousands of people gathered in cars and on foot outside of the governor's mansion in Michigan to protest the state's restrictive lockdown measures. Now look, as much as it's important that we all stay safe right now, the lockdown rules in Michigan really are getting out of control. They closed garden centers, they banned private boats, and now you have to wear protective gloves just to show people where you live in Michigan. For the first time in history, all 50 states are under a state of emergency as Joe Biden becomes the presumptive Democratic nominee. Oh, look at him. He's going to be so excited when he figures it out. After ending his campaign last week, Bernie Sanders officially endorsed Joe Biden. He told his supporters, look, if you can't vote for me, why not vote for the next oldest thing? And say what you will about Joe Biden, but after falling behind in the early primaries, he's run an amazing campaign. Like, he's the presumptive nominee now. And don't ask me how, but I got an exclusive interview with two of the members of his campaign who helped make that victory possible. After a bruising and divisive primary, one Democrat has survived early setbacks and risen to the top. That candidate is Joe Biden. Perhaps the skill that has benefited him the most along his journey is his mastery of language and uncanny ability to enthrall America with inspired speech.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
Yes, in addition to being a mediocre vice president and having a female middle name, Joseph Robinette Biden is an artist. Words are his pigments and sentences his brushstrokes.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
But a natural gift for oratory isn't Biden's only advantage. The secret to his campaign are his two speechwriters who have mastered his voice and helped craft his monologues. I sat down with them in this exclusive interview. Gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. I know you're very busy. I wanted to start by asking you, what sort of background do you each have that led you to such a prestigious position?
Well, I studied political science and creative writing at Yale, and previously I worked for the Kerry campaign before I started writing for Mr. Biden.
I watched this YouTube video called 6 Tips for Public Speaking. Fascinating. Now give me a window into your writing process. How do you write for Joe Biden?
Joe is a smart guy, a great guy, but writing for him isn't easy. First of all, we have to know his policy inside and out. The economy, healthcare, foreign policy, all of it. Yeah, and then we have to put it into his voice. Like, it has to sound like it's coming from Joe. So for that, we use these.
Wow, can I see how that works?
Sure, let's see, I need a place. 7-Eleven.
Another place.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Now I need an ethnicity.
How about Indian?
And just like that, a Joe Biden speech is born.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
Can I see you do another one?
Alright, give me an adjective.
Smelly.
Now a foreign country.
Uranus.
Now a racial term that you wouldn't really want to use anymore.
Ooh, mulatto?
Okay, so we have Donald Trump's smelly immigration plan is to build a wall around Uranus, which is why mulattoes will vote for me.
That sounds just like Joe Biden. Like, I can hear him saying that.
Thank you. Would you like to try one?
I'd be honored.
Alright, let's see here. I need a number.
50 quadrillion.
Now a famous person.
Jeff Bezos.
A noun.
Diarrhea.
Okay, are you ready? In my first term, I would make $50 quadrillion by making Jeff Bezos clean up diarrhea.
That sounds way better than Bernie Sanders' economic plan. Now, Joe Biden has given a lot of speeches, and you guys have probably written a lot. What are some of your favorite lines that you've written?
I was riding a giraffe in Afghanistan when I decided to tax bird feeders. Poor kids are just as rich and talented as white kids. We need to abolish Space Force and replace it with queefs. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. My son doesn't know anything about Ukraine or no hooker babies.
Thank you, gentlemen. This was truly informative. There you have it. The next time you hear Joe Biden speak, listen for the influence of the two brilliant minds behind his words.
The kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Oh, the actors in that sketch were terrible. Discussions have begun as to when sporting events can start again in the United States, and athletic trainers for the NBA say they would need at least 1 month of preparation to get players ready before the season could start. And acting coaches say the same for the WWE. The PGA Tour is also set to return in June, but without spectators. Golfers say it's going to be really weird to play without the silence of a crowd. To help encourage people to wear face masks, First Lady Melania Trump posted a picture of herself wearing one. And even with that mask on, she's still way prettier than that butch, mannish First Lady America used to have. I think you all know who I'm talking about. Martha Washington. Because many of their hotels are currently closed, DoubleTree has released the secret recipe for the famous chocolate chip cookies that they hand out to guests.
It's people.
The Vatican is attempting to censor a video that shows Pope Francis opening a bottle of scotch and saying that whiskey is the real holy water. So last week he decided that you can confess your sins directly to God, and this week he's developed a drinking problem. Can the Pope just become Lutheran already? During a press briefing about reopening the economy, Donald Trump claimed that his authority on the issue is total, which caused some Democrats to compare him to a dictator. Yeah, I can't believe this brutal dictator wants to use his total authority to lift restrictions, open businesses, and set us free. Why can't he just lock us down for 18 months and enforce a government takeover of industry like a good politician? The original lyrics to Hey Jude, handwritten by Paul McCartney himself, sold at auction this week for $910,000. And a napkin where Ringo Starr scribbled "Hit Drum" sold for $24.99. An 88-year-old grandmother's birthday TikTok video has gained 3 million views, proving that old people can be just as awful as millennials. That's mean. I'm just jealous that 88-year-old grandmother understands TikTok and I don't. But congratulations on being the world's oldest thought. Surgeon General Jerome Adams was criticized this week after he told black families that they need to take coronavirus precautions in order to protect their abuela, their granddaddy, their big mama, and their pop-pop. So basically all the clumps. 3 astronauts returning from the International Space Station landed safely in Kazakhstan on Friday. Then they saw what was going on down here and they headed back. A passenger was dragged off a bus in Philadelphia by 10 police officers for not wearing a face mask, marking the first time officials in Philadelphia have correctly enforced a face mask rule. The US and European governments are investigating whether the coronavirus came from a Chinese lab. So there's growing evidence now that this may really be what happened, because it turns out the Wuhan Institute of Virology is right down the street from the wet market that they blamed for the outbreak. Which is just like crazy irresponsible. That's like if we put the US Army Infectious Disease Institute right next to a combination Pizza Hut Taco Bell. If you have a situation like that, it's gonna end with a worldwide shortage of toilet paper. A student has started a Twitter campaign to get former President Barack Obama to deliver an online commencement speech for all the seniors graduating this year. And I, for one, think this is wonderful because Barack Obama is the perfect person to inspire this year's seniors. Because like right now, they're trapped inside, they're doing absolutely nothing. But Barack Obama never let doing absolutely nothing stop him from getting a Nobel Peace Prize. Hollywood executives are considering the possibility that no new movies will come out in theaters in 2020, which means that next year's Oscars by default will go entirely to Dolittle, that movie with a constipated dragon. I mean, that movie came out in theaters, and now AMC is basically out of business. Coincidence? Some exciting news from Australia. Researchers say they have found a cure for Crohn's disease that involves a pill made from freeze-dried fecal material that is taken orally. And people in Arizona, do not try to make this medicine at home like you did with hydroxychloroquine. A study conducted by the website alcohol.org has found that during the coronavirus shutdown, 40% of people have been drinking on the job. And I think it was pretty obvious if you watched the last White House press briefing.
Are you doing this voluntarily or did the press? I'm doing it.
Finally, the Navajo Nation has instituted a curfew in order to help curb the spread of coronavirus, although they did let Elizabeth Warren out long enough to endorse Joe Biden. That's all the news this week. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go take my temperature again.